March Madness, it is finally here. I am so excited to bring you guys my 2023 bracket. And before we hop in, you should join my tournament challenge. The link is in the description. It's on ESPN. It's free to enter. You can have up to 25 different entries into this. First place gets $100, second place gets $75, third place gets $50. And like I said, it's free to enter. It can't hurt to join. Link is in the description below. I do this every year. It's so exciting to see the best brackets in this group. We're one of the highest ones on ESPN. We're in like the top 30 highest groups every year. It's super cool. So yeah, join, link in the description. I'm going to be showcasing my bracket in this group today. So yeah, the bracket came out Sunday at 6. I was actually at the Sixers game when this ended up dropping, now that you guys are seeing this on Monday. And I am so excited for this tournament because there's also so many projected first round picks in this class. I already posted a video. You guys saw the short of the top collegiate players that are going to get drafted in March Madness. You have guys like Brandon Miller, the Arkansas backcourt like Anthony Black and Nick Smith Jr. You have Keontae George, Kyle Filipowski, Derek Whitehead, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and plenty others. And please let me know your Final Four and champion down below. And let's get into this. So we're going to start off with the South bracket. Obviously, we're going to have Alabama beating out either Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, or Missouri State. Brandon Miller, Noah Conley, like Javon Cornerly. I love this Alabama team. They are really good. Yeah, they're going to be an obvious win here. West Virginia versus Maryland. This is a good one right here. Maryland has the better defense, but West Virginia definitely has the better offense here. West Virginia went up against a tough Big 12, but the Big 10 was also really good this year, who Maryland went up against. I'm actually going to go with Maryland to advance, even though West Virginia might be better coached. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to have Charleston beating out San Diego State as my 12-5 upset here in the South region. Yes, San Diego State plays in the tougher conference. Charleston went 31-3 in their conference. Neither one of them beat a top 25 team in the nation this season. I think this is a perfect example of a 12-5 upset. You have West Virginia versus Furman. I think this one is going to be close. I think Virginia does get out the victory. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. We know that with Tony Bennett's offense in Virginia, but I just don't think Furman has the talent to get it done. One of my favorite round one matchups is Creighton versus NC State. You have a Big East versus an ACC team. It's just like the perfect matchup here in the March Madness tournament. I do think NC State could pull off the upset. I'm going to go Creighton though, just because you can make an argument that the Big East was more talented than the ACC this year, which you don't normally say. You have Baylor versus University of California, Santa Barbara. It's cool to see them in the tournament this year, but I think Baylor is going to get by them. I don't love Baylor as a team overall, but I do think they get out of the round of 64. You have Missouri versus Utah State. Both these teams can shoot the ball and can probably score 70 plus points each. And I'm actually going to go with the 10-7 upset here, and Utah State is going to beat Missouri, SEC Missouri, to advance here to the round of 32. And as much as I love Princeton, you got your Ivy League team. Arizona's beating them to advance. So yeah, the upsets I have here is Charleston over San Diego State, and we have Utah State beating out Missouri. Yeah, so this is what we have advancing here in the South region. So now we're going over here to the Midwest. We have Houston beating out Northern Kentucky. This is an easy one. Jarace Walker, who's going to be a top 10 pick in the 2023 draft. Marcus Sasser, who's a stud collegiate point guard this season. They're going to lead the Cougars to a round of 64 victory. They ended up losing to Memphis in the American Conference Championship, which was a little bit surprising, but shout out to Memphis, man. We have a great Iowa-Auburn matchup. Iowa scores but doesn't defend. Auburn's kind of like the opposite. This is going to be a close one in my opinion. I'm going to go with Auburn to get it done. I do think their defense is going to get it done. I don't know. I like the Tigers as a 9-8 upset here. We have Miami versus Drake. I think this is going to be a great 12-5 matchup, and I could 100% seeing Drake win. It's just tough giving another 12-5 upset here, but you know what? I should go with my gut, and I'm going to do it. Yep, I'm going to do it. I think Drake is going to beat out Miami, ride their momentum here into the round of 32. They're an underrated collegiate basketball program. Indiana versus Kent State. Love me some Tracy Jackson-Davis. Love me some Jalen Hood-Schifino. I have them going into the round of 32 as well. But I do think Kent State can make this a very, very close game. So you have Mississippi State versus Pittsburgh here. It's tough to make this decision right now. I think Pittsburgh would put up a little bit more of a fight, but I do think Iowa State gets it done either way. They were very solid, 9-5 against top 25 teams this year. You have Xavier versus Kennesaw State. I think Colby Jones and Xavier gets it done to move on to the round of 32. Oh man, Penn State versus A&M. This is a good one. Jalen Pickett led Penn State to the Big Ten championship. They almost came back and beat Purdue. I do think A&M is the better team though and gets it done, and I also believe Texas is going to beat Colgate. I love as a program, but I don't think that they're going to beat the Longhorns, and the Texas Longhorns are going to move on to the round of 32. All right, so you have Texas Southern versus FDU here in the 16 playing Purdue, Zach Edey, they're getting it done. That's an easy one. Man, I loved FAU as a squad this year, but I think Memphis is going to ride their momentum as the American champions and advance to the round of 32. Okay, not going to lie, Duke versus Oral Roberts, I think can be another close 12-5 matchup. All these 12-5 ones are going to be very close games in my opinion. I do think Duke squeaks by though. Tennessee has an elite defense, but honestly, I think Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, is going to win. Like, I think they're going to win. This is probably going to be my only 13/4 upset. Actually, I shouldn't spoil what I have in the West region. I do believe Kentucky, Case and Wallace are going to get it done. Oscar Shishibwe, they're going to beat Providence to move on. Kansas State versus Montana State. Now, this is a big upset that I could see happen, but I do think Kansas State squeaks by. Michigan State versus USC. Two major programs. I love this matchup a lot, but I think Michigan State wins. You have Marquette versus Vermont. Shout out Vermont, man, but yeah, Marquette's winning this one. Kansas versus Howard. It's easy. Kansas is moving on. We got Arkansas versus Illinois. Another great 8-9 matchup. I'm going to ride with Nick Smith Jr., Jordan Walsh, Anthony Black, and the Razorbacks. I think Arkansas is going to beat Illinois. St. Mary's versus VCU is a fun one. I have St. Mary's moving on. Oh, man, this one is tough because I do think Rick Pitino can go out with a bang before he joins like St. John's or Texas Tech or one of those programs after leaving Iona through this year. But I do think UConn is going to win. They're a really underrated team. I love Jordan Hawkins and I love UConn this season. They're going to win. If Iona played maybe any other 4 seed here, like if they ended up going up against, let's say, Virginia, maybe even Indiana, I could have them advancing. I love a lot of 4 seeds here. TCU going up against Arizona State or Nevada. I actually love Arizona State and Nevada, like either one of those teams. It's going to be a bloodbath to advance. I have TCU beating either one of those teams, though. You know what? It could be a difference. It's tough making these on Monday, right before these games happen. We got Gonzaga going up against Grand Canyon. It's going to Gonzaga. Northwestern versus Boise State. I have Boise State advancing. And UCLA versus UNC Asheville. We got UCLA advancing. All right, here we go. Round of 32. Maryland versus Alabama. Could be a fun 1-8 seed. I think Alabama is just super talented and they're going to advance to the Sweet 16. Man, I think Charleston could be my Cinderella team. And I have them beating Virginia and Tony Bennett and moving on to, the Sweet 16 to go up against Alabama. I think Creighton can 100% beat Baylor. I think Baylor is very vulnerable in this tournament. I think their weaknesses will show out. We have Utah State versus Arizona. I'm going Arizona to advance to the Sweet 16 in the South region. We have Houston versus Auburn. I have Houston advancing as well. Drake versus Indiana is a fun one. I love Indiana as a team. I know they didn't win the Big Ten tournament, and hell, they could lose to Kent State in round 1, but I'm riding with Jalen Hood-Schifino and Tracy Jackson Davis. I believe Kobe Jones is going to lead Xavier. They're going to beat Iowa State, and then you have, what a rivalry, man. Texas A&M versus Texas. Interstate matchup here. And to surprise, I'm going with the Aggies. They're going to pull off the upset and go to the Sweet 16. I guess horns down for this round. And let's get into the East region. Purdue versus Memphis. I think Memphis is a super underrated team, and I don't think every single 1 seed is going to go to the Sweet 16. But Purdue has been very good this season, and I think this could be like a, flashbacks of like UCF versus Duke back in 2019. I believe Purdue is going to squeak, and I mean squeak, by Memphis or even FAU if they do end up beating the Tigers. I do think Duke is going to beat Louisiana and move on to the Sweet 16. We have Kentucky versus Kansas State. I believe Kentucky has the best player in that matchup, Oscar Tshiebwe, and they're going to go on to the Sweet 16. Michigan State versus Marquette. I just love the Big East this year, man. I think Marquette is for real. Oh, man. Kansas versus Arkansas. I just want to see Nick Smith play some more basketball so we can evaluate him better going into the 2023 draft. I do love Kansas, though. Love Grady Dick. I just love what they're doing over there still, and I think they could possibly repeat. Like, this team is super talented. I know they didn't win the Big 10 champion, or excuse me, the Big 12 championship, but they could go all the way. St. Mary's versus UConn. I'm going with UConn to advance. TCU versus Gonzaga. Also going with Gonzaga to advance. And then Boise State versus UCLA. I'm going with UCLA. So this is my only region, the West region, where I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 advancing to the Sweet 16. Alabama versus Charleston. It's an easy one at this point. We'll see what Brandon Miller is made of. I think they're going to the Elite 8. Creighton versus Arizona. I am riding with 6-seeded Creighton, man. Shout out to the Big East. Xavier versus A&M. I'm going A&M to advance to the Sweet 16 as well, going up against Houston. Purdue versus Duke in the East. Zach Edey, he's a beast. They're going on to the Elite 8. And then we have Kentucky versus Marquette. I'm going with Kentucky. going up against Purdue. That's going to be a fun one. UConn versus Kansas. I'm riding the Huskies, man. I think Huskies can make a run. Shout out to Jordan Hawkins. And then Gonzaga versus UCLA. I have Gonzaga. Yeah, this Gonzaga team going to the Elite Eight. So there's my Elite Eight. Alabama, Creighton, Houston, A&M, and then down here we have UConn, Gonzaga, Purdue, Kentucky. We have 3 1 seeds making it. We have 0 2 seeds making it. Creighton, Alabama. I have Alabama advancing to Houston to go to the Final Four. Yeah, I'm riding with the Aggies. I have Texas A&M playing in-state, beating another Texas team, Houston, to go to the Final Four. Now, it would be sick to see Houston go play in Houston in the Final Four. Like, their crowd would probably be electric. Purdue versus Kentucky. I'm going to go with Purdue. 1 seed versus 1 seed in this Final Four. UConn versus Gonzaga. I'm going with UConn. UConn and A&M in the Final Four, man. I love March Madness. I do believe Alabama is going to beat Purdue, and I also believe that UConn is going to beat A&M. And then in the championship, I do have 1 seed Alabama winning it all. I do think Alabama is going to play in a lot of close games. They're definitely not going to steamroll through, I think, any of these opponents. Maybe just round 1. We'll do a 71-63, or not 93, 63 final score. And yeah, that is going to be my champion, the Alabama Crimson Tide. We also have Purdue, A&M, and UConn in my Final Four. So let me know your Final Four and national championship with your champion down below. This is just for fun as well. I just think UConn could make a run, but hey, watch them lose in round 1 to Iona. I said Rick Pitino could make one last statement before joining like St. John's or Georgetown or Texas Tech, and then I look like a dumbass. But that's March Madness. It is impossible to pick the perfect bracket, but hey, maybe this is it right here, and you saw me make a YouTube video out of it. But yeah, make sure you join my tournament challenge. Link is in the description. It's free to enter. Like I said, you can have over 20 entries in it. First place gets 100, second place gets 75, third place gets 50. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy this video. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.